Mark Hill from Greenleaves. Interesting question time last week. It was held in Hull, which of course is a strong Leave city. It's an area without any marginals between Tory and Labour. It's obviously been a long-standing Labour city. And it was one where the debate where the frustration of much of the audience was a frustration shared by many of those on the left who oppose the European Union. The debate started with a question from undoubtedly a Remainer sympathiser who asked what was the point of leaving the EU if there wasn't one, don't do it sort of thing. But most of the rest of the comments then from the audience were along the lines that Labour, the Lib Dems in particular, I think Greens might have been mentioned, had basically abandoned Leavers. Leavers felt very frustrated because they didn't particularly want to vote Conservative, and yet they could see that this was a Leave election and wanted to be able to express their opposition to the European Union. It seems to me that most of the soft left, that is the Lib Dems, Greens, Labour, not the hard left, the Marxists, Communist Party, Socialist Workers' Party and so on, but most of the soft left have essentially tried to play a dare with the British electorate. They've said, well, would you mind just overlooking the fact that we are going to rerun a referendum? We're going to bias it against you with a biased question. We will invite those people onto the electorate that we feel are necessary to allow us to win it, such as people who are resident here but not UK citizens, 16 and 17-year-olds and expatriates from outside the UK. We will add all of those into the vote and bias it against you. We will load the dice with a biased question. We will negotiate a deal which doesn't reflect the form of departure from the EU that you felt was appropriate, and then we'll see what happens. Now, that's what the Labour and the Green Party are doing, and the Liberal also saying, Liberal Democrats to be specific, are saying that they will just simply revoke Article 50. And then they're saying something else, they're implying something else. What they're saying is, and we dare you to vote Conservative, implying that to vote Tory you've either got to be mad or bad. Go on, I dare you. Vote Conservative is essentially what they're saying. If you care about the European Union leaving it so much, vote Conservative. And the implication is, as I say, that you're either you've gone crazy about the European Union, which I don't think we have really, or that you lack the sense, morals, connectedness to the serious situations in our society, to want to give government to a party as uncaring as Boris Johnson's. The problem with this strategy is that it puts people like the Labour Party into a rut if they lose. Because when it comes down to it, many of us do think that leaving the European Union is about the best thing that we can do for depressed old manufacturing towns that need an opportunity to be able to start manufacturing once again, either for local consumption or for expanding markets outside the EU. We need to leave the EU because essentially it's throttling our trade outside the EU. We need to be able to change the way that we decide whom we trade with. We need to be able to exploit opportunities more quickly than the trade agreements through the European Union allow us at the moment. And therefore the very thing that we need to do in order to be able to get productivity up in Northern England, in the West Midlands, in Eastern England, is precisely to leave the European Union. And the only party that is willing to offer that to us is the Conservative Party. And the left is basically then saying, go on, dare you to vote Conservative. What happens when a large number of working class folk do vote Conservative? How is Labour going to be able to approach them again and say, right, well, we got that wrong. but we still like the European Union. Is that what they're going to say if they lose on Thursday? I hope to goodness that if the soft left do get trashed in the forthcoming general election, that or at least one of the three parties, five parties if you count the Scots and Welsh nationalists involved, one of them decides to break ranks and try and appeal to the 52% from a left of centre perspective rather than a right wing one.